Good morning, everybody. Hour into the day here. Just wanted to avoid that morning session. Morning sessions have not been, they're just so volatile that honestly they're hard to trade for me. So I decided to just, sometimes I do that on Mondays or large gaps, but there's these moves are just so whippy. I mean, look at Tuesday's open. Whip, whip, whip. Yesterday, whip, whip, down, up, like 200-point ranges. It's fairly untradeable. I mean, you need massive stops. Today it's actually even calmer, but it was whip whip. But anyway, title of the video: short series continuation break. What ended up happening yesterday off the open is I'm gonna get rid of the extended session here, but we started driving lower off the open, and once that happened, we got down to where my discount was in the prior day, and then we basically just held that halfway back short from the highs of the range. That completed targets. Once we completed targets, we spent some time below those targets coming out of lunch, and then we had a fair value gap that led us up into, and as soon as we put that in, led us up into this next traditional. Now this next traditional has been completely blown out this morning. It had a great reaction yesterday. We've come back to these lows, but we're still inside of this higher time frame short, with that premium level being up near that's 19,700. But because we've broken that next traditional, really I'm just looking for this setup here off the open. Either one, we rally back up to premiums and I'll look for a short coming out of the premium, or two, we trade the halfway back long from yesterday's lows, which is going to be a 19,395, and I'm just going to be sitting around waiting unless like something super exciting appears here. I'm going to be sitting around waiting for either that to trade or us to get back up to the premium. So I won't be like very active. I'm looking probably to place like 2 trades today. I don't want to be over trading, because that has not been a very good recipe in this market. I mean, you just got to be very wary of how fast these moves are. So those are the things I'm going to be waiting for here in the Nasdaq, and patiently so. The ES is putting pressure on its premium zone. Okay, we've come down, checked the midpoint here today, and we are rotating back above that premium. We could finally, for the first time in really weeks, start putting some pressure on these premium levels. And if that does break in the ES, I'm going to adjust what is last Friday's high to the new low and anticipate we don't see any real major resistance until then. And that's going to be a 56.50. So if we find ourselves consolidating above this area right here, these 55.90s, we got about 60 points before I would see any major resistance, and I think we could be entering squeeze territory. It is interesting to see that we've held that upper or that midpoint here in the ES today, basically to the tick, and we are rallying. We are actually rallying off of it, which has not been something we've seen. If we do get above the high of the day in the ES, I would start looking for a halfway back for the day. So that would be, that low from 10 o'clock news event to whatever the high ends up being. So I'll look for that trade if that were to happen. But if that doesn't happen, really the same thing. If we fall from these highs here again, which of course is always a possibility, I'll be looking for that same setup, the full halfway back from yesterday's low, and that's going to be a 55.58. So it's going to be the same setup in the ES as it is the NQ. Otherwise, if we break above highs, I'll adjust for a potential more aggressive pullback. But other than that, I'm just kind of anticipating hopefully we can get back down to this 55, 59s, call it, and look for a potential buy at that area. So that's my setup. Pretty simple. Going to take some patience and just really a lot of tape watching here today. But I'll share these levels with you guys in the room, jump on the Discord, and start sharing my screen.